Bess. I'm CTO at Hobio, and I'm here to talk about how to build web-based graphical modeling tools with Eclipse Sirius. I know that you are here to discover things about cloud dev tools, so you're asking, why should I care about web graphical modeling stuff? What is the link with cloud dev tools? So imagine, a typical day starts in the office. Alice is working on a task, and at some point, she needs information from her colleague Bob. But Bob is on vacation. And the spreadsheet she needs is available only on Bob's computer. That's a classical issue. In the industry world, people are used to gather data from everywhere into spreadsheets. Now, with the deployment of cloud tools, Alice might be able to access the data even if Bob is on vacation. But soon, it exists so much unrelated spreadsheets at your company, shared one by one between two or more people. There is no one place to structure them, no version control, and not so great multi-user concurrent and collaborative edition available. In the end, it leads to a kind of spreadsheet chaos. So the first thing is that you need a way to improve collaboration and communication in the office. A first solution would be to collect all the data in one place to get a single source of truth for your data. The solution for this is easy. All end up storing the data in a database, and that's it. You got the data in one place, that is great, but not enough. The way you understand and exploit the data depends on your role and what you need to do with it. There are several major ways of presenting the data. Someone will use tables, from spreadsheet grids to calendars to Kanban boards. Some others prefer charts or diagrams and even textual syntax. The ability to create meaningful views is the pinnacle of communication skills. The most apparent motive is stimulating team collaboration. That's great. Using many kinds of views helps the global comprehension and improves the communication. But you need also to process this data to leverage them. Drawing is not enough. What you need is to give semantics to your drawing. For this, you need not only to visualize data, but you need to leverage the semantics of your data. This is exactly why, if you are not aware of modeling and domain-specific stuff, you should care about it. Formalizing the data in relational formats and representing them according to multiple point of views gives the ability to conceptualize complex projects in a compelling way. When you have a complex software to develop, most of you take a pen and start to imagine the architecture on the paper. Why does it matter to draw the architecture? It bridges the gap between developers when it comes to an understanding of flows and interactions. Among others, using different kinds of visualization and specifically diagrams let us visualize dependencies. They are the most concise way to leave a track of analysis work done on a project. Therefore, they are a pillar in onboarding new teams members. In some cases, it helps to identify bottlenecks or bugs in the design or its implementation. What is true for software development is true also for other domains. So, what you need is a tool dedicated to your need, your domain, which allows you to share, visualize, and leverage the data. Building such custom tool is not that easy. Developing such solution has a cost. That is why we created a framework to be able to create such custom graphical tools easily. Sirius is an Eclipse project, which allows you to represent your data, map them to graphical representations, and take advantage of your data's semantic. It gets back quite a few years ago. In 2007, Thales and Hobio started to work on a technology enabling the creation of domain-specific graphical modelers. In 2013, after 6 years of development, it was decided to make it open source within the Eclipse Foundation. The Sirius project was a small sport at that time. We were excited to share it with the community, but had no idea how it would grow as a project. We are now 9 years after this publication, and the project had numerous releases and events since this first publication. And that's one of the things with open source. When you build it, you never really know if it's used, how it is used, and who uses it. In order to allow the users to showcase what they were building with it, we set up what we call the Sirius Gallery, with an open process to be added to it. Today, this gallery showcases more than 50 different modeling tools with varying degrees of richness or complexity. some pretty small and tight, others covering wider domains with several tailored graphical views, tables, or forms. And these tools are covering many sectors, from system engineering to simulation, big data, business analysis, cybersecurity, or scale. Any area where designing with the power of models gives huge benefits. And those are just the ones which can be publicly listed. Today, Sirius has two flavors. Sirius Desktop, to create modeling workbenches based on the Eclipse RCP platform, and Sirius Web, to create cloud-ready modeling workbenches. Sirius allows you to turn your ordinary data into modern cloud tools quickly and easily. The Sirius Web project provides, first, a standard application to create a ready-to-use web application to create and deploy your dedicated editors. And second, the Sirius Web project offers the Sirius components. These components are the building blocks used by the Sirius Web standard application, but they are built to be reused by any applications, classical web application or Cloud IDEs. The idea for you is to use the Sirius components from Sirius Web to integrate in your own application. Integrate your diagrams in a wiki website, or Cloud IDEs like CR or VS Code. And they will be automatically updated when the model evolves. In this way, we can use Sirius Web to enhance Cloud IDEs with graphical editors. Furthermore, we provide the OBU Cloud Platform, OCP, as Sirius Web topping. OCP is a set of cloud-based products to easily build and deploy modeling studios to the web for enterprise use case. We offer OBU Studio to create graphical modeling solutions that can be used collaboratively from a web browser. OBU Studio is built as an open core product relying on Sirius Web. It is a Sirius Web build extended with enterprise features to deploy on public, private clouds, or on-premise, and including support and upgrade guarantees. So you're asking yourself, okay, I got it, but what can I do concretely? So now you have an idea about why you're using Sirius and what it is for. You are ready to create your own Sirius-based custom editor. There is 3 steps for that. First step, you have to define your data model. Sirius Web provides a graphical tool in your browser to define your data model. You just need to connect to the Sirius Web server and define your data model. What I mean by data model is creating the entities, their attributes, and the relations between them. When you run the final editor, you'll be able to create an instance of your data model. So I will demonstrate this with a small demo. Okay, so here I'm creating, I will create a new domain. It is easy. I create a new project in Sirius Web to define my new application, and I will specify a new domain. So I will name it company. And in this new domain, I will create a new domain representation, and I will use the graphical editor for that. I create a first entity, which would represent my company. This company should have an attribute, which would be the name of the company. Then I want to represent the different teams that exist in my company. So I create another entity, which I name team. I need also a name for my team. So I add an attribute, which I would be named name. And I need to express that a company contains team. So I create a relation, a containment relation between the company and the team. I need also to represent other kind of entities. So I need to represent the location of my company, because my company could be in Paris, New York, and I don't know. So I add a name also to my location, and I express also that my location are part of my company. So I create a containment relation between my company and my location. Last entity I need to create, last concept I want to represent is the employees. So my employee will have different kind of attributes. The first name of my employee, then I need also to represent his last name. And I want also to represent a smaller one, which would be the trigram, which is a composition of its first name and last name. So my company has employees. So I create a containment relation between my company and my employees. And I need some more relation. I need to be able to say that an employee is member of a team. So I create a simple relation, which is not a containment one, and I will name it members. And now I need also to represent the concept of management. So I need to say that an employee could manage another employee. So I create a relation to represent that, and I name it manage. And I also need a last relation to represent that my employee would be located somewhere. So I create a location between my employee and my location. Okay, so I have defined my domain, I have all my concepts, and now directly, thanks to Sirius Web, I could create a new project. And this new project helps me to try directly what my domain looks like. So I don't need to deploy nothing. Everything is directly usable. So I create a new project, which will use my new domain company. And you see that I could create my company. So I will create Hobio. I need to add some teams to Hobio. So first, I need to add the research and development one because I'm part of the research and development team. Hobio has different location. One of this location is Paris, so I create the Paris location. And now I can create my different employees. So I will create myself. So I will add my first name, Melanie, my last name would be Bats, and my trigram would be MEB. And I will be located in Paris. So here you see that directly with Sirius Web, I could create and directly use my domain. So I will go back to my slides now. So I've created my data model. Now it's time for the second step. Step 2, I will describe how my concepts will be represented in my application. For that, I need to define which kind of representation I want to create, a diagram, a table, or a form. For instance, here I create a view which contains the description of an employee's diagram. On this diagram, I will represent an employee with a blue colored rectangle. In this node, I want to show as sub-elements the different attributes of my employee, the first name, last name, and the trigram. And I want also to see the location relation to see directly where she is spotted. And I want to represent with an edge the management relation which could exist between two employees. So when I run the final application, I got a diagram and I can see all the employees. On this diagram, I can visualize the employees and create new ones thanks to the tools available in the palette. So how I do that concretely, I will show you with my demo. So I go back to my company DSL project, which create and define my studio, my editor. And now what I will do is I will create a view. So in this view, first thing, I will create a new diagram, description. So I want to represent on my diagram all my employees. So I will name it employee diagram. It will be possible to create such diagram on the company element. And now I want to describe all the different elements I want to see on my diagram. So the first one, I want to represent my employees. So I create an employee node, which would be representing the concept employee. And for that, I don't want to see the first name or the last name. I want to see the trigram of my employee on the representation. So here, that's it. I have nothing else to do. I could directly try to create this new representation. No need to deploy. I can try it directly on the server. I can create a new presentation on the Hobio concept. So I create a new presentation. And I'm looking for my new diagram. It's the employee diag, not this one, but yes, this one, the last one. I can create a new diagram. And you see that there is already one employee, which is me. And I can create a new one. So I will create a new one, which would be named John. And last name would be Doe, and its trigram would be GDO. And now what I want to do is to be able to create the relation, the management relation between Melanie and John. So I'm going back to my view description, and I will add the ability to create edge on my diagram. So I create a new object. This one will be an edge description. And what I want to represent is as a relation management. So I don't need a label on my edge. What I just need to do is to say that my edge will link an employee to another employee. And to find the relation, I will need to use a managed relation. So remember, when I create my domain, I create a managed relation. And you see, I will use this managed relation in my data model to find all the management relation between employees. So if I'm going back now to my example, now I have a new tool in my palette, which allows me to connect Melanie to John, and it set automatically the manages relation. So you see, okay. Next step, I'll show you my slides. That's great. With Sirius, I can represent my concept graphically, but what's even more important is that I can not only represent my basic concept, but I can enhance my views thanks to the semantic of my data. For instance, I can create conditional style in my diagram according to the value of some properties. Here, I want to represent a European location with an orange color and the American one with another. So I create a conditional style and express a condition thanks to a small language expressing that when the location name is equal to Paris or Berlin, I set a label code to a range. It is really easy to create conditional style with Sirius, and I will demonstrate this right now. So I'm going back to my studio description in my employee diagram. Now, the first thing I want to do is to add the location as subnode of my employee node. So I create a subnode which represents the location of my employee. It will represent the concept location I have in my data model. And to find the location of an employee, I'm using the location relation I created in the data model. And I want to represent the location thanks to his name. And I don't want the location to be put it as another node in the node, but as a list. So now if I try it in the OBO example, you see if I reopen my employee diagram, now you see that Melanie is located in Paris. But John is not located in Paris, but in New York. So I need to create a new location. So I'm creating it from the Explorer. I could create a new location object. And I would create a new location, which would be New York. Okay, and now I can set that John Doe is located in New York. So I use the properties for that. You see that I have the new location, New York. And now what I want to do is to make a difference between Paris and New York and to set a curve depending if the employee is located in Paris or in New York. So I'm going back to my view and I will create a new kind of style, which is a conditional style. And according to the value of the attribute, I will set a different style to my representation. So I set a small condition, which is if the name is equal to Paris, then I want to see the label as red in the diagram. So this is exactly what I do. If I try now to reopen the OBO example and the employee diagram, you see that now Melanie is in Paris, so it's in red, and New York is still in black. Okay. So now, what is the last step to make your application with Sirius? Mostly nothing. You don't need to do anything to deploy your application. As you see during the demo, if you use the Sirius Web standard application, it is done automatically for you by Sirius at runtime. I can create my domain, test it right away in the end user application, then create my view, test it directly, and it is made available automatically for the other users. So when you have finished to define your application, the last step is to give the application to your users in order they can try it and give you feedbacks. Then you can iterate to improve your editor. You can create many kinds of editors. Some examples are available on our online demo, and I will just demonstrate that. You see here that on the demo we have made available online, you have the company DSL, which is defined. You can find it yourself. We have defined the views with some more diagrams. So I will just show you. You see this employees diagram with much more things that what I did right now. There is some more diagrams, and I can try it in the page store demo, which is just another instantiation of the company. You see that there is employee diagrams with all the different employees, the location. There is a teams diagram also, which shows the different locations with the different teams. And here you have the teams and the locations. There is some other demos available, like the BPMN one. So you can create process diagram with that one, which is with much more elements and concept available. And there is a last one also, which represents more computing unit, like a central unit capture subsystem. You can represent a robot with fan, radars, cameras, and much more things. And you see there is all the different properties available. So if you go to the online demo, you can play with that. In the end, using Sirius helps you to create your custom graphical application. You just have to create your data model, define the user's interface and its logic, let your users play with your custom graphical application. Even if I demonstrate only the creation of diagram, the power of Sirius is to ease the creation of many different kinds of visualizations. With Sirius, you can create diagrams like flowcharts, org charts, architecture diagrams, UML diagrams, system diagram, or business process model. And by using Sirius, many expected behaviors of a diagram editor comes by default for you, like capability to drag and drop elements, share diagrams thanks to URL, you get high resolution diagrams based on SVG, and you have automatic layout and so on. With Sirius, you can also create tables, which comes with classical features like sort options, filter capabilities, or pagination to manage lots of data. And with Sirius, you can also define forms, applying the same principles as the one you use for the diagrams. And finally, as Sirius is open source, you can contribute whatever representation you need. For instance, we integrated successfully interlocking blocks editor or D3 representations. So next step for you is to give it a try. Two solutions for that: you can build and run it by yourself. You can go to GitHub to get the source code. Or easier, you can test our free sandbox. There you can test all the features I showed you before. And if you want to try it by yourself, just create an account on our online demo.obostudio.com. So if you have a few things to remember from this talk, first, remember that Sirius is an open source project. And two, that with Sirius Web, you can create custom applications to represent and edit your data graphically, and you can enhance your data thanks to semantics. Finally, embed your diagrams, tables, forms created with Sirius Web in a wiki, your website, or in Cloud IDEs like Thea or VS Code, and the representation will be automatically updated when the data evolves. Sirius Web offers many APIs and is highly extensible, so that everyone can make use of the low-code features to move quickly and then rely on more traditional code to build your extended workbench. Thanks for your attention, and if you have any question, I will be happy to answer them during the Q&A session, or you can also contact me later by email. Thanks, bye.
So the first question we have is from Mathieu Kouzam. In the Sirius gallery, are there any implementations that made you go wow in particular, as in that is using Sirius Web in a way that was completely unexpected, but still just makes sense when you see it. In fact, it's not that we have one application that's make me wow, but mostly the diversity of domains that are used to make something with Sirius Web. So, for example, we have domains like insurance to create to manage their own product creation. System engineering with Capella, which is quite well known in the Eclipse Foundation, and the enterprise architect also is well used. We have also healthcare. We have also some standards that are used like UML, SysML, Archimates. We have also domains like safety critical. Plastic manufacturing also is one which is unexpected. You can represent workshop, work cell, and represent what would be the plastic part you have in the hand. And all this helps them to create digital twins. We have also satellites, simulations. So mostly the last one, which is really unexpected, was one about farming in order to create agricultural exploitation, in order to simulate and check satisfaction of some constraint. So not really one specific, but the diversity of creation. A second question was, is it possible? How easy is it to embed Sirius into other websites? For example, maybe I already have a corporate directory, but want to embed an org chart or make it downloadable. Well, in fact, it is built to do that. You can create with Sirius Web a standard application like the one I demonstrate, or you can use all the different components we have to embed the components inside one of this application. We already did a talk about this at the last EclipseCon about embedding the Sirius diagram component inside VS Code and SIA. So you already have a talk available on internet for that on the Eclipse Foundation YouTube. So that's it for the question. Thanks for being there, and have a nice day. Bye.